All right, looks like I am live. Great. All right, so yesterday, if you were with us, and the day before, Your Invisible Power is the audiobook I chose to start with. And basically, it just talks about your power within, things that you can control, like you can learn how to use autosuggestion so you're producing more thoughts for the goal you want to accomplish rather than just clouding your mind with nonsense that has nothing to do with the goals you're trying to accomplish. It talks about pushing negative thought out and things like that. Like if you're producing negative thought and that's all you're doing, then you're just going to likely produce more negative thoughts. So you want to avoid that. And you also want to use stronger words like I am going to, not I'm going to try. And sometimes you do have to speak out loud so your brain knows what you're doing. But in the same sense, you can think in secret. You can think, you know, in your head because God, He can hear you anyway. And so whatever you want, you can have. You just have to be good and you have to actually want to get it and you have to set yourself to get it. So that is, I guess I should turn my notifications off while I'm doing this, huh? But that is the gist of it. So think it and the thought will become real. Recite certain things verbally so your brain can hear it and push away negative thoughts. And when you're down and it's like it feels like you're going nowhere physically, pray. Inner thought can be heard, but physically pray. And when you get the instructions on how it is that you're supposed to accomplish what you're trying to do, immediately act on it. Don't delay it because well, you might forget it. So write it down, look at it, read it. And from the other book that I'm about to bring up, Think and Grow Rich, it also talks about how, for example, I'm looking at my computer screen, but behind it there is this large wall with so much space on it. And I should have paper, I should have like a board, a dry erase board or something where I can put things that I'm supposed to be doing, reciting goals I want to accomplish, having those on there so I can see those every day. And, it talks about, you know, moving yourself to another room, perhaps, putting yourself in a different area. Like if you find you think better sitting in a chair, or you find you think better sitting on the floor, then do that, Don't you know, not try stuff to think better. But anyway, back to Think and Grow Rich. We're gonna start on chapter 5. That's the only chapter I'm gonna play. I can't recall how long this chapter is, but the book that I read or listened to was around 10 hours, almost 11 hours. So I imagine this chapter is probably going to be a good half hour or more. Again, I can't recall. But autosuggestion is something I thought about many years ago, but I didn't really know what it was. I didn't even know it was called autosuggestion. And this is another reason why I highly encourage people to self-educate. Don't just rely on colleges and universities and high schools and all that to teach you things. Be willing to go out there and get into books just because you have an interest. You don't need someone to always help you. It's good to have mentors, don't get me wrong, but it's also good to learn how to get out there and educate yourself. So it is important, knowing what auto suggestion is, and I'm sharing what I believe is important. Not that other things aren't, but I have fun sharing these particular subjects, and auto suggestion is one that I feel a lot of people could benefit from because the thoughts you do focus in on are the thoughts that are reproduced. And if you're looking for solutions, you got to think good things to get good solutions. That's just how it is. So I'm going to go ahead and start this. I'm going to see how well this goes. And again, you're in for the ride at this point. You're along for the ride at this point, just like my channel says. Just in case you didn't read the About section. But yeah, you can join my Patreon, patreon.com/Ty Clifford. And you can also email me at any time, ty@tyclifford.com. So here we go with the audio book here. Chapter 5, Think and Grow Rich, a Napoleon Hill book here. Oh, and there's a lot of editor comments, which is really nice. Anyway.
This is the end of the editor's comments. A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits. Chapter 5. Autosuggestion, the medium for influencing the subconscious mind. The third step toward riches. Autosuggestion is a term that applies to all suggestions and all self-administered stimuli that reach your mind through the five senses. Stated in another way, autosuggestion is self-suggestion. It is the way of communicating between that part of the mind where conscious thought takes place and that which serves as the seat of action for the subconscious mind. Through the dominating thoughts that you permit to remain in your conscious mind, it doesn't matter whether these thoughts are negative or positive, the principle of autosuggestion reaches the subconscious mind and influences it with these thoughts. Nature has built human beings so that we can have control over the material that reaches our subconscious mind through our five senses. However, this does not mean that we always exercise this control. In the great majority of instances, we do not exercise it, which explains why so many people go through life in poverty. Recall what I said about the subconscious mind resembling a fertile garden, in which weeds will grow if the seeds of more desirable crops are not sown. Autosuggestion is the way you may feed your subconscious on creative thoughts. Or you can, by neglecting it, permit thoughts of a destructive nature to find their way into this rich garden of the mind. Editor's comments. Numerous psychological studies and experiments with hypnotherapy have validated Napoleon Hill's concept that a person's subconscious mind retains everything that person ever experienced. Studies also support the theory that the subconscious is non-judgmental. It does not filter or interpret, it simply processes information literally and stores it. For those readers who may be dubious about the subconscious, or that thoughts stored below the level of consciousness can exert enough influence to affect attitude and behavior, the following explanation should alleviate any such doubts. There is no doubt about the existence of the conditions known by the psychological terms fixations, phobias, and compulsive behaviors. These conditions occur when a child has learned something in such a powerful or dramatic way that the knowledge becomes firmly planted in the child's subconscious mind. Then, even as the child grows to adulthood and the conscious mind learns to understand that information from a mature point of view, because the childhood learning experience was so powerful, the subconscious still retains the childhood understanding of the information. The result is a fixation, phobia, or compulsive behavior that causes a response rooted in childhood, which does not make logical sense to the adult's conscious mind. That is because it does not come from the conscious. It comes from the subconscious belief that was so emotionalized it overrides the adult's logical conscious mind. Hill's theory is based on exactly the same psychological principles. Thoughts do remain stored in the subconscious. They remain just as they were when they were input, and the more highly emotionalized the thoughts are when they are input, the more influence they exert on attitude and behavior. It is this aspect of the subconscious that will allow you to use autosuggestion as a tool with which to input the positive thoughts that will help you achieve the success you desire. This is the end of the editor's comments. See and feel money in your hands. You were instructed in the last of the 6 steps described in Chapter 3 on Desire to read aloud twice daily the written statement of your desire for money. You are also directed to see and feel yourself already in possession of the money. By following these instructions, you communicate the object of your desire directly to your subconscious mind in a spirit of absolute faith. Through repetition of this procedure, you will create thought habits that reinforce your efforts to transmute desire into its monetary equivalent. Read these steps again, very carefully, before you proceed further. 1. Fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. It is not sufficient merely to say, "I want plenty of money." Be definite about the amount. 2. Determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. There is no such reality as something for nothing. 3. Establish a definite date when you intend to possess the money you desire. 4. Create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once, whether you are ready or not, to put this plan into action. 5. Now write it out. Write a clear, concise statement of the amount of money you intend to acquire, name the time limit for its acquisition, state what you intend to give in return for the money, and describe clearly the plan through which you intend to accumulate it. 6. Read your written statement aloud, twice daily. Read it once just before retiring at night, and read it once after arising in the morning. As you read, see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the money. Remember, when reading aloud the statement of your desire, through which you will develop a money consciousness, that the mere reading of the words is of no consequence, unless you mix emotion or feeling with your words. Your subconscious mind recognizes and acts only upon thoughts that have been well mixed with emotion or feeling. This is a fact of such importance as to warrant repetition in practically every chapter. The lack of understanding of this is the main reason the majority of people who try to apply the principle of autosuggestion get no desirable results. Plain, unemotional words do not influence the subconscious mind. You will get no appreciable results until you learn to reach your subconscious mind with thoughts or spoken words that have been well emotionalized with belief. Do not become discouraged if you cannot control and direct your emotions the first time you try. Remember, there is no such possibility as something for nothing. You cannot cheat even if you desire to do so. The price of ability to influence your subconscious mind is persistence in applying the principles described here. You cannot develop the desired ability for a lower price. You, and you alone, must decide whether or not the reward, the money consciousness, is worth the price you must pay for it in effort. Your ability to use the principle of autosuggestion will depend very largely upon your capacity to concentrate on a given desire until that desire becomes a burning obsession. How to strengthen your powers of concentration. When you begin to carry out the instructions in the 6 steps, it will be necessary for you to make use of the principle of concentration. Following are suggestions for the effective use of concentration. When you begin the first of the 6 steps, which instructs you to fix in your own mind the exact amount of money you desire, close your eyes and hold your thoughts on that amount of money until you can actually see the physical appearance of the money. Do this at least once each day. As you go through these exercises, follow the instructions given in Chapter 4 on faith, and see yourself actually in possession of the money. Here is a most significant fact. The subconscious mind takes any orders given to it in a spirit of absolute faith and acts upon those orders. But the orders often have to be presented over and over again, repeated positive affirmation, before they are interpreted by the subconscious mind. Because of this, you might consider the possibility of playing a perfectly legitimate trick on your subconscious mind. Make it believe, because you believe it, that you must have the amount of money you are visualizing. Make it believe that this money is already awaiting your claim, so the subconscious mind must hand over to you practical plans for acquiring the money that is yours. Give this thought to your imagination, and see what your imagination can or will do to create practical plans for the accumulation of money through transmutation of your desire. Do not wait for a definite plan through which you will exchange services or merchandise in return for the money you are visualizing. Just start right now to see yourself in possession of the money, demanding, and expecting that your subconscious mind will hand over the plans you need. Be on the alert for these plans, and when they appear, put them into action immediately. When the plans appear, they will probably flash into your mind in the form of an inspiration or intuition from infinite intelligence. Treat it with respect and act upon it as soon as you receive it. In the fourth of the 6 steps, you are instructed to create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once to put this plan into action. Do the same thing here. Close your eyes and create in your mind a vivid image of you carrying out the instructions. Do not trust to your reason when creating your plan for accumulating money through the transmutation of desire. Your reasoning faculty may be lazy, and if you depend entirely upon it to serve you, it may disappoint you. When visualizing the money you intend to accumulate, see yourself rendering the service or delivering the merchandise you intend to give in return for this money. This is important. Editor's comments. The basic principle underlying autosuggestion is closely related to self-hypnosis, and both techniques played an important role in the development of modern psychology. Although all 3 concepts, autosuggestion, hypnosis, and psychology, had to overcome initial public skepticism, unfortunately, autosuggestion and hypnotism were hampered by events that further delayed their acceptance. Hypnosis was an integral part of the therapies used by the major figures in the development of psychology, including Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung, and William James. It fell out of favor as a therapeutic method when stage magicians began to use the technique in their acts. People found it difficult to give serious consideration to a method that was being used in theaters and nightclubs to make members of the audience do ridiculous things for comic effect. Autosuggestion encountered a similar problem. French psychiatrist Émile Coué was the best-known early advocate of autosuggestion. A contemporary of Sigmund Freud, Coué operated a clinic that treated patients diagnosed with psychosomatic ailments, individuals who have convinced themselves they are ill and even show symptoms but do not actually have a disease. Coué treated his patients with an autosuggestion technique that involved the repetition of statements he termed positive affirmations. Coué devised a general, non-specific phrase that would give the subconscious a positive instruction, but was open enough that it did not tell the subconscious how to do it. The positive affirmation was, "Every day, in every way, I am getting better and better." And he instructed his patients to repeat the phrase several times a day. Improvements among his patients happened so quickly and dramatically that his method became the talk of medical and scientific circles, and the use of the phrase practically became a movement in Europe. Word of the success Coué was having with his method spread to America, and he was soon booked to do a lecture tour. At one of his early speaking engagements, a cynical newspaper reporter made a joke of the technique, calling it, "Hell's bells, I'm well." The joke followed Coué wherever he spoke, and the press coverage was so negative he canceled his tour and returned to practice in Europe. Serious scientists and therapists continued to work with autosuggestion. But just as had happened when stage magicians cast doubt upon the efficacy of hypnosis, Coué's method of positive affirmation fell out of favor with the general public. It took the openness of the latter part of the 20th century before the techniques of hypnosis and autosuggestion gained general acceptance once again. Today, if you go on the Internet, there are over 40,000 web links featuring positive affirmations, and numerous bestsellers have been written on the subject. Virtually every newspaper, magazine, and television news program regularly features stories on the crucial role the mind plays in personal growth and achievement. Techniques based on autosuggestion have fostered countless best-selling books, audiobooks, and video programs. and every week thousands of people attend seminars, lectures, and retreats to be inspired by motivational speakers or spiritual leaders, and to learn techniques that will help them achieve success, almost all of which are based on the basic principles Napoleon Hill advocates in this book. When Hill instructs the reader to close your eyes and hold your thoughts on that amount of money until you can actually see the physical appearance of the money, he is in fact describing the autosuggestion technique most widely taught by contemporary motivational experts. Today it is called creative visualization, and it is regularly used by some of the most successful trainers of Olympic athletes and professional sports teams. It is used by NASA in training astronauts, and medical professionals use it in a variety of ways, including teaching it to patients who need to elevate their autoimmune system. Using visualization effectively is much more than simply daydreaming about something you would like to have or a goal you would like to achieve. Visualization is a specific technique that involves the use of imagination, creativity, vivid imagery, and affirmations, all focused on creating something you wish to manifest in reality. Napoleon Hill identified the practice of visualization and wrote about it as early as 1928 in his first bestseller, Law of Success. Since then, many other psychologists, medical professionals, motivational speakers, and authors have developed systems based on the same principles. Dr. Maxwell Maltz, a noted plastic surgeon, found that often it was as important for his patients to change their inner perception of themselves as it was to change their outer appearance. Dr. Maltz's landmark bestseller, Psycho-Cybernetics, draws heavily on visualization as a way to increase self-esteem and improve a wide range of abilities. The Silva method, which is another variation on visualization, has been taught to millions of people by certified Silva trainers who hold seminars throughout the country. Jose Silva's best-selling book, The Silva Mind Control Method, has also sold many millions of copies. In 1978, 50 years after Napoleon Hill wrote about visualization in Law of Success, Shakti Gawain published the phenomenal bestseller Creative Visualization, and Adelaide Bry published Visualization, Directing the Movies of Your Mind. At about the same time, Dr. O. Carl Simonton, an oncologist, concluded that cancer patients who used visualizations in conjunction with chemotherapy treatments had a marked improvement over those who didn't. His bestseller, Getting Well Again, had a profound impact, and it was followed by books from other respected medical professionals, such as Love, Medicine, and Miracles by Dr. Bernie Siegel, and Superimmunity by Dr. Paul Purcell. Other bestsellers by Dr. John Sarno, Dr. Deepak Chopra, and Dr. Andrew Weil have made what once was referred to as alternative medicine now part of mainstream medical practice. This is the end of the editor's comments. Stimulate your subconscious mind. The instructions given previously for the steps necessary in your desire for money will now be summarized and blended with the principles covered by this chapter, as follows. 1. Go to some quiet spot, preferably in bed at night, where you will not be disturbed or interrupted. Close your eyes and repeat aloud, so that you may hear your own words, the written statement of the amount of money you intend to accumulate. Be specific about the time limit for its accumulation, and a description of the service or merchandise you intend to give in return for the money. As you carry out these instructions, see yourself already in possession of the money. For example, suppose that you intend to accumulate $50,000 by the 1st of January, 5 years from now, and that you intend to give your personal services as a salesperson in return for the money. Your written statement of your purpose should be similar to the following. By the 1st day of January, I will have in my possession $50,000, which will come to me in various amounts from time to time during the interim. In return for this money, I will give the most efficient service of which I am capable. I will give the fullest possible quantity and the best possible quality of service as a salesperson of, and describe the service or merchandise you intend to sell. I believe that I will have this money in my possession. My faith is so strong that I can now see this money before my eyes. I can touch it with my hands. It is now awaiting transfer to me at the time and in the proportion that I deliver the service in return for it. I am awaiting a plan for getting this money, and I will follow that plan when it is received. 2. Repeat this program night and morning until you can see in your imagination the money you intend to accumulate. 3. Place a written copy of your statement where you can see it night and morning and read it just before retiring and upon rising until it has been memorized. Editor's comments. The following is another suggestion, adapted from Hill's later writings, which appear in Napoleon Hill's Keys to Success. Surround yourself with books, pictures, mottos, and other suggestive devices. Pick things that symbolize and reinforce achievement and self-reliance. Constantly add to your collection, and move things to new places where you can see them in a different light and in association with different things. I had a friend who was a realtor who kept her $1 Million Club certificate over her desk to remind herself of what she was capable. One day she took it down to dust and set it on top of a newspaper. When she picked it up again, she saw beneath it an article about the new football coach who had been hired at the university. Guess who bought a house she had been struggling to sell? This is the end of the editor's comments. Remember, as you carry out these instructions, that you are applying the principle of autosuggestion for the purpose of giving orders to your subconscious mind. Remember also that your subconscious mind will act only upon instructions that are emotionalized and handed over to it with feeling. Faith is the strongest and most productive of the emotions. These instructions may at first seem abstract. Do not let this disturb you. Follow the instructions no matter how abstract or impractical they may appear to be. If you do as you have been instructed, in spirit as well as in act, the time will soon come when a whole new universe of power will unfold to you. Skepticism, in connection with all new ideas, is characteristic of all human beings. If you follow the instructions, your skepticism will soon be replaced by belief, and belief will become crystallized into absolute faith. Many philosophers have made the statement that man is the master of his own earthly destiny, but most of them have failed to say why he is the master. The reason that man may become the master of himself and of his environment is because he has the power to influence his own subconscious mind. The actual performance of transmuting desire into money is through autosuggestion. That is the principle by which you can reach and influence the subconscious mind. The other principles are simply tools with which to apply autosuggestion. Keep this thought in mind, and you will at all times be conscious of the important part the principle of autosuggestion is to play in your efforts to accumulate money through the methods described in this book. After you have read the entire book, come back to this chapter and follow in spirit and in action this instruction. Read the entire chapter aloud once every night until you become thoroughly convinced that the principle of autosuggestion is sound and that it will accomplish for you all that has been claimed for it. As you read, underscore with a pencil every sentence that impresses you. Follow the foregoing instruction to the letter, and it will open the way for a complete understanding and mastery of the principles of success. Every adversity, every failure, and every heartache carries with it the seed of an equivalent or a greater benefit. Chapter 6. Specialized.
Great. Great. That was awesome. Still is awesome. So basically, the instructions from that are to, you know, have, excuse me, have reinforcements around you to take you to better levels, positive levels. You know, have things around you that remind you of your accomplishments and what you are really capable of doing. And then the instructions are fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. Determine exactly what you will give in return. Establish a definite date. Create a definite plan and write it out. Clear, concise statement. And read the statement twice when you go to bed and when you wake up. Now, I want to point out yes, this book is called Think and Grow Rich, but I read this book. Uh, I consumed this book because I knew I could apply it to anything other than money. I knew that it's not just all about money. For me, it's not. You know, how it is good to have money, sure, but also I took it as I can apply this to anything I want, any goal, any object, strategy, whatever it may be. You can, train yourself to do just that. So it's not just money. It could be I want that car. So well, how do you get the car? Do you gotta get a job? Do you gotta get more money? Do you have to negotiate the ownership of that car? Maybe someone owns it right now and you have to convince them to give you the car. So you may not even need money to do that. I mean, money surely helps, but you may not even need money to do that. So, you have to figure out a plan. You have to, what will you do for that person or whatever to get that car? What will it be? Because it's not always money. Sometimes maybe they want a part or a car that you have or something like that. It's just an example. This could apply to just about anything. And I thought that chapter was a little bit longer than that. I guess because the first time that I read it, I was like, wow. It feels like forever when you're the first time you hear or read something or watch something. At least for me, it does. So they talked about creative visualization techniques as well. And I used this a lot when I played sports, and I still use it to this day. And it's seeing yourself actually doing the task, the goal, whatever it is. And just, even in your mind, if you have to do it step by step. Like if you're running hurdles, what do you gotta do to try to take off faster? What do you gotta do to get faster while you're already in motion? Those sorts of things. Creative visualization. So here is another. It's not an ebook, but it's from the what do we call it? The NIH, the PubMed, um, PubMed Central. So this is where it's a government-based website, but what they do is they collect and they index basically all the studies possible for the public to read and find. And sadly, some of them they index are behind paywalls. However, I'm sure maybe in the future, or I'm sure in the future, I should say, we can get our hands on those books for academic purposes. So, I don't exactly know how to start this out because there's no audio version of it, so I'm just going to let the web browser read it. So it's going to sound very weird, but I just want people to at least even be aware of it. And the link is included in the description of this video as well, so you can read it for yourself if you would like. The title is called Motivating the Unmotivated. How can health behavior be changed in those unwilling to change? And some people struggle with this. I am one of those people. So we know what to do, but sometimes we just don't. And I wanted to just relay this article because it was kind of interesting. I'm not going to give any of it away, but I'm going to go ahead and start it out, and hopefully everything will go all right. So here we go. 1 second here. And again, remember you can subscribe to my Patreon patreon.com/Ty Clifford, and you can email me anytime, ty@tyclifford.com.
Motivating the unmotivated. How can health behavior be changed in those unwilling to change? Many individuals do not engage in health promoting behaviors that would confer important health benefits despite research that has shown that engaging in a suite of 4 health behaviors: physical activity, eating a healthy diet, not smoking, drinking alcohol in moderation, leads to 11 to 14-year delay in all-cause mortality. Ka et al., 2008. Ford et al., 2011. Motivating people disinclined to engage in health behavior presents a significant challenge to public health practitioners. Although there have been advances in interventions to increase individuals' motivation to engage in health-related behaviors, gaps in knowledge exist. In particular, effective strategies to promote behavior change in individuals with little or no motivation to change are relatively scarce. Most social psychological theories applied to health behavior change tend to assume a degree of motivation for change and have focused on attempts to promote action by converting motivation into action. Approaches such as goal setting, Locke, 1996, Fenner et al., 2013, self-monitoring, Miller and Thayer, 1988, action planning, Schwartzer, 2014, and implementation intentions, Gallwitzer, 1999, Hager and Lusksinska, 2014, focus on harnessing motivation and promoting action in those already likely to be motivated to change. As a consequence, such approaches are heavily dependent on individuals having some motivation to change even though they are not actually engaging in the behavior. These individuals are best characterized as inclined abstainers, Orbel and Sheeran, 1998, or unsuccessful intenders, Rhodes and De Bruyne, 2013. The approaches, however, do not focus on individuals with low or no motivation to change, which account for a substantive proportion of the population. For example, less than 10% of smokers report wanting to quit, Wurz et al., 2003, and 60% of smokers do not make a quit attempt during any given year, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 2007. Similarly, up to 30% of individuals express no intention to exercise, Ronda et al., 2001, Rhodes and De Bruyne, 2013. It is clear, therefore, that a large number of individuals are not motivated to engage in health-promoting behaviors and tend to be those most at risk. In this article, we briefly review theoretical perspectives focusing on individuals who are not motivated to engage in health-promoting behaviors. We contend that although theories identify low motivation as a state, they do not provide complete explanations of, and underlying reasons for, the absence of motivation, nor do they suggest comprehensive strategies that may engage these hard-to-reach individuals. We offer some theory-derived suggestions on how to engage unmotivated individuals to increase their participation in health-promoting behaviors. Two prominent theoretical perspectives offer conceptualizations of unmotivated individuals, self-determination theory and the trans-theoretical model. Self-determination theory, Deci and Ryan, 1985, 2000, distinguishes between different types of motivation or reasons underlying behavioral engagement, Katsisarantis et al., 2007, 2008. According to the theory, the state in which an individual lacks intention to act is termed a motivation, Valorant, 2001. Individuals reporting being unmotivated toward health behaviors are unable to identify the reasons why they act, and tend to have low intentions and poor uptake and adherence to health behaviors, Thodrason Tumani and Tumanis, 2006. Similarly, the trans-theoretical model identifies several stages that characterize individuals on a continuum of change with respect to health behavior, Prochaska et al., 2005. Individuals in the pre-contemplation stage have no apparent interest in engaging in health behavior. Individuals in this stage do not consider the need of change and are resistant to suggestions of change. Some theorists have drawn parallels between the pre-contemplation stage and the motivated states, Thodrason Tumani and Tumanis. 2006. Both perspectives do not provide explicit solutions to addressing individuals in emotivated and pre-contemplative states. For example, interventions based on the trans-theoretical model for pre-contemplators have tended to be limited to targeting the experiential processes of consciousness raising and dramatic relief that amounts to the information provision, both of which have limited effectiveness in changing behavior in those with low motivation. Foster et al., 2005, Miller and Rolnick, 2013, Peters et al., 2013. We argue that improving intervention effectiveness for unmotivated individuals should begin with an analysis of the underlying reasons for being in an emotivated or pre-contemplative state when it comes to health behaviors and how these may be specifically targeted in interventions. Some research has examined the etiology of motivation from a self-determination theory and social cognitive perspectives. Pelletier et al., 1999, Vlachopoulos and Jaguti, 2008, Shin et al., 2010. A motivation may stem from low levels of self-efficacy, outcome expectancies, effort beliefs, and value beliefs. Vlachopoulos and Jaguti, 2008, Shin et al., 2010. Low self-efficacy relates to low confidence and feelings that the individual lacks the capacity or resources to produce the desired behavior. Low outcome expectancies relate to beliefs that the costs of the behavior outweigh the benefits. A lack of effort beliefs is concerned with the recognition of the required amount of effort or energy needed to change behavior, e.g., perceiving physical activity as too hard, or overcome the perceived barriers and disinhibiting factors, e.g., fear of embarrassment, lack of knowledge, and being willing to invest the necessary effort to achieve the desired outcome. Further, low-value beliefs relate to not attaching sufficient value to the behavior to make it worthwhile pursuing. Wigfield and Eccles. 2000. Low outcome expectancies and value beliefs, therefore, serve as demotivating factors. These sets of beliefs provide clear direction regarding the conditions that lead to the development of a motivation and how they could be addressed. Based on these findings, strategies aiming to reduce a motivation could include confidence-building strategies, targeting decisional balance, and also those that focus on changing effort and value beliefs. Given that these types of strategies have been used in counseling approaches to changing behavior, such as motivational interviewing, Miller and Rolnick, 2013, it raises the possibility that these may be viable avenues to resolve unmotivated states like a motivation. Motivational interviewing, Miller and Rolnick, 2013, is a counseling approach to behavior change. It is well suited to those unmotivated to change as it focused on building motivation for and reducing resistance to behavior change. Hardcastle et al., 2008, 2013. The interpersonal style and behavior of the practitioner are central to motivational interviewing. Hager and Hardcastle, 2014. Few approaches are explicit about the importance and impact of the relational style in which interventions are delivered, particularly for those who are not motivated to engage in health behavior. The specific relational motivational interviewing techniques that may be useful when working with those less motivated to change include reframing, overshooting, coming alongside, shifting focus, and emphasizing autonomy. The content-related techniques that could be adopted are those that seek to elicit change talk, arguments for change, and reduce sustained talk, the person's own arguments for not changing. These techniques include running head start, looking forward, and values exploration. Running head start is used to elicit client motivational talk through the counselor first asking open questions to explore the pros of the status quo, in order to then query the cons of the status quo. The client is also asked about the cons of changing followed by the pros of changing their behavior. Looking forward is a strategy to build motivation by the counselor prompting the client to envision two possible futures and deemed to be very useful in a physical activity intervention. Hardcastle et al. 2012. The first future is if they continue on the same path without any changes. The second future is if they decide to make a change and prompting them to consider what that future may be like. If you did decide that now is not the time to change and we meet up in 5 years from now, what would things be like for you? What about that concerns you the most? And, if you were to change, what would life be like in the future? How would you feel? How would things be different? Values exploration is a strategy for evoking motivation by having clients describe their most important life goals and values. Miller and Rolnick, 2013. Example questions include: what things are most important to you? Or, what do you want most in life? And how does your behavior fit in with your goals and values? Focusing on discrepancies between ideal life conditions and actual conditions may induce a desire to recalibrate daily behaviors to be more congruent with deeply held, unmotivated beliefs. Focusing on ideals can help decrease clients' defensiveness and foster motivation for change by transferring the focus away from bad behaviors or lifestyle toward a focus on a more deeply satisfying lifestyle that can be pursued and enjoyed. The values exploration technique does not appear to have been adopted in motivational interviewing interventions outside of the substance abuse field, and only one study was located that specifically explored the effectiveness of a values exploration technique in a weight loss intervention, e.g., Weber et al. 2008. Other perspectives on changing behavior in individuals that are unmotivated to engage in health behaviors come from dual process theories of action. According to this perspective, behavior is driven by two processes: conscious consideration of the pros and cons or expectancies of the value of engaging in the behavior relative to potential costs of doing so, and non-conscious processes that are spontaneous, impulsive, and occur with little deliberative thought, e.g., Strack and Deutsch, 2004, Hager and Katsourantis, 2014, 2015 Hager et al., 2015. Many unhealthy behaviors, including unhealthy eating, smoking, and drinking excess alcohol, have been conditioned by cues in the environment paired with the concomitant reward-based outcome, usually determined by dopaminergic pathways in the brain which serve as powerful reinforcers of the cued-up behavior. Rebar et al., 2015. As such, exerting conscious control to override these strong neural relations between cue and action is difficult and requires considerable cognitive resources and motivation. Hager. 2010, 2014. Loftus et al., 2015. Rebar et al., 2015. By implication, low resources and motivation to engage in conscious effort to resist the powerful cue-driven urges makes behavior change extremely difficult. This means that individuals that are unmotivated to engage in health-related behaviors are unlikely to change because they are not motivated to invest effort in overriding the highly automated non-conscious cue-driven processes that drive their behavior. In such circumstances, researchers have indicated that it may be important to structure individuals' environments so as to make engaging in the undesired behavior much more difficult. Salas et al., 2012. Examples of environmental solutions that may change behavior among the unmotivated without engaging in costly persuasive techniques include bans on smoking in public places and the workplace, employers locating car parks a distance from workplaces so employees walk a given distance to work each day, and limiting the number of alcoholic beverages that can be served in bars. Such legislation requires considerable will among policymakers and is not necessarily a universal solution. For example, banning smoking in public places and workplaces is unlikely to affect smoking at home. Environmental strategies may form part of a comprehensive package of solutions to changing behavior in the unmotivated. To conclude, we contend that current theoretical perspectives on behavior change do elaborate sufficiently on how to approach individuals with low motivation to participate in health behavior. We have proposed some possible suggestions for future research on how to potentially engage individuals who are unmotivated to participate in health-promoting behaviors. These strategies outlined include the targeting of self-efficacy, outcome expectancies, effort and value beliefs, motivational interviewing techniques including strategies like running head start, looking forward, and values exploration, and we recommend their use in health behavior interventions that target those unmotivated to change. We also recognize that environmental interventions have a crucial role to play in promoting health behavior change among the unmotivated. It is important to note that these strategies may assist in increasing motivation among individuals to initiate a health related behavior. Increasing motivation is an important first step among unmotivated or pre-contemplative individuals who do not engage in any health behaviors. Further strategies, however, may be needed to assist in the enactment of the behavior, e.g., planning, volitional strategies, and maintain it over the longer term, e.g., self-monitoring and self-reinforcement. Author contributions. SH took the lead role in conceiving and developing the ideas presented in the article and drafting the article. MH assisted in the conception of the article and took a lead role in editing and drafting the article. JH, AH, CM, and CT assisted in providing ideas for the article and assisted in drafting the article. Conflict of interest statement. The authors declare that the research was conducted in the absence of any commercial or financial relationships that could be construed as a potential conflict of interest. Acknowledgements. The author would like to thank members of the Health Psychology and Behavioral Medicine Research Group, School of Psychology, and Speech Pathology at Curtin University for their comments on an earlier draft of this article.
All right, so that was from PubMed. It was read by the voice there, the webpage voice was PubMed. The article was titled Motivating the Unmotivated. How can health behavior be changed in those unwilling to change? And it goes over a few different things. It also goes into motivational interviewing, using phrases like looking forward, so that you're suggesting to them that there are two futures, and then it also goes over that some people aren't really necessarily unmotivated, but they're not going to change. And I guess I personally look at that as unmotivated. Like, for example, if you smoke cigarettes, it's probably not the best decision. Um, you know, but from my observation and this article's observation, less than 10% of people who smoke cigarettes aren't even saying they want to quit. So the odds of them quitting is not going to happen. For me, when I stopped smoking cigarettes, I didn't smoke many cigarettes as the average person anyway. It would take me up to a week to finish a full pack of cigarettes. And if I can remember how many cigarettes are even in there, there's 20 of them, I believe. So it took me almost a week to finish that pack of cigarettes anyway. So stopping may have not been as difficult for me. However, I knew I was definitely addicted to it. So I did have to first say, I want to quit. I'm going to quit. Not just I want to quit, but I'm going to quit. And I look forward to not craving cigarettes anymore. Using those words, imploring autosuggestion. This is, it all comes back together. I'm just sharing the things that have helped me move forward and do much better in life today, the last few years. And these are the things I wish I would have stumbled across 2015. I would have been knowing about this 2010. I wish I would have known about this when I turned 18. And the importance of reading, a lot of psychological or mental science, as some will just call it. Some people don't like it because it really rips into some people. It really tells them things that they just don't want to confront, I believe. But the way I've learned it is the more you know in mental science or psychology, the slower, if ever, you are to become angry or confused. You might be confused about something, but you're going to quickly understand how to figure it out. Somebody yells at you're not really going to yell back at them because you're observing so many different parameters of why they could be yelling that you're not even going to be offended by it. So, anywho, autosuggestion, motivational interviewing, all these things I have been using personally to better my own life. And one of the things I'm going to go over another time, because this was new to me, this motivational interviewing. This is why I wanted to show everybody else, because I just came across this. I knew about these kinds of words. I learned it when, for applying for jobs, saying things in the email like, looking forward to this opportunity, things like that. Because not only is it authentic, but it's also good to use those kinds of words because you're trying to tell them you are definitely looking forward. It's not just a, do I have this job or not? You know, so you're giving them the impression that you definitely are looking for a better future. You have a future, but you want a future with them. So calling it motivational interviewing, I did not know it was actually called that. I knew there was something that had to be used. I just didn't really know the name. I heard of some other techniques too, but this one is really, really cool. And I don't know if I'll use the information from McGill that I just pulled up, or I'll find another one. I might try to find an audiobook. I really dig those. Those are really cool. But anyway, enough babbling. I hope all of you, whoever decides to check this out, all of you need to enjoy this. I hope all of you enjoy it. And again, you can join my Patreon, patreon.com/Ty Clifford. You can email me, ty@tyclifford.com. And leave a comment. I do this to just, again, share what I find interesting and motivational in itself, and also to show other people and to generate discussion. Like, hit me back with something. So, just to recap, we talked about creative visualization, motivation, motivating the unmotivated, motivational interview, went over chapter 5 of Think and Grow Rich. Don't quote me, I think that's the 13th edition. Um, yeah, I think so. I could have it wrong. Um, and an auto suggestion, the big thing of this was auto suggestion, learning how to trigger and skill that subconscious to produce things in your favor rather than just anxiety and worrisome and doubt and negative thought. We want to get rid of that. We don't want negative thought. We want positive reinforcement of our previous and future achievements. All right. Well, you guys be safe out there. I hope all of you have a great day and be safe no matter what you do. Bye bye.